Stop basing our understanding of the world, stop basing our interpretation of reality, and stop using the paradigms and the intellectual frameworks of the West and start using our own. You know, stop using the ways that the colonizers explained and the way that the colonizers portrayed how the world works. Because, of course, everything that they said was always and only said for the purpose of maintaining their position.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel once again. So guys, I want us to watch this powerful speech from Shahid Bolsen. Shahid Bolsen, he's sending a warning to white America, and he's telling white America that white Americans, they made a mistake for voting for DJT, and also he's telling how white America is falling and Trump can't save it. So kindly guys, I want you to watch this till the end, then I'll be back with more comment. All credits goes to the original creator of the video. I'm your host Dash Lifestyle. Remember to give a video a thumbs up.
Maintaining their advantage, and for the purpose of delegitimizing and dehumanizing and invalidating us. They've always been in the rationale creation business. In fact, that's just about the only thing that they ever did create, if we're being honest. Because everything that they have was actually taken, was actually stolen, was actually pillaged or plagiarized from other people, from other nations. So in fact, what they created was just the rationale or the justification for doing that, for doing all that theft. And that pervades all of their intellectual frameworks. Even before the West went secular, even before they went atheist, they were this way, and that's the way they did things. They didn't use religion for justice, they only used religion for justification. So we have to reject their frameworks, reject their paradigms by default. Because you can't tell me that any framework, you can't tell me that any paradigm, and you can't tell me that any understanding of the world or for interpreting reality, any framework that was created to justify rape and pillage and chattel slavery and genocide, you can't tell me that any framework like that is ever going to be useful to civilized people. No, you have to reject it. A poison root grows a poison tree and bears poison fruit. Even if it might have pretty blossoms on it, the fruit is no good. The tree is no good, and the root is no good. Whatever they built was built at a human cost that their descendants are going to be paying for generations. Like I've said before, yes, you have your technology in the West, and we all use it. But good Lord, we have the right to use it. We have more right to use it than you do, in fact. We have the right to use it because it was all developed with our resources, with our minerals, with our metals, with our energy, with our blood and our sweat and our tears. No, you don't get to boast about your technology, as if we should be grateful to you for what you made or what you built with our resources. And then you act like the fact that we use the technology that you made with our resources, that means that we're not supposed to blame you for all the theft and for all the murder. I mean, what kind of logic is that? You see, this is the logical West. That's what I mean. It's not just a poison tree, it's a whole forest of toxic intellectual chicanery. We need to make our way out of those woods. And for us, for the Muslims, the first thing that we need to do to reclaim or to revive our epistemological sovereignty is to restore Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Quran and the Sunnah to their rightful place, right at the center of our understanding. Because I think a lot of people, even amongst our own people, even among the Muslims, a lot of people have inadvertently been infected by the West's view of God. That God is just a concept, an abstraction. God is just a device for instantiating virtue. God is just a philosophical tool for them. But no, God is real. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is real. Allahul Haqq. And you're never going to be able to understand reality. You're never going to be able to understand the world if you don't understand this reality. This is the most fundamental reality there is. So that has to be our base. That must be our base, our foundation, the reality of God and the truth about everything that he said about himself and the truth about everything he said about his creation. This is fundamental. It's foundational. If you don't have that, well, then you have no floor to stand on. I don't care what you do, what kind of walls you have, what kind of roof or what kind of ceiling you built. If you don't have a floor, well, all you have is a decorated hole. You just have a decorated chasm. You have a decorated abyss. That's what you have when you build your paradigms, you build your frameworks, and you build your understanding of the world without the fundamental, foundational understanding of the reality of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the reality of God. So our earlier scholars all understood this. They all understood the dynamism of this reality, and it shaped the way that they understood, it shaped the way that they analyzed, shaped the way they interpreted the world. And that's what we have to do. Because, okay, we talk about analysis, we talk about analysts, but really from the Muslim point of view, what we are is witnesses. I'm commissioned to be a witness. The Muslims, all of the Muslims, we're commissioned to be witnesses, to tell the truth, to state the facts, to testify the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And in a world that has been dominated by the West for so long, well, a great deal of our testimony is inevitably going to just be setting the record straight regarding their endless lies. Like I said before, because they lie all the time about everything, it would absolutely be impossible for us to even do our job as witnesses, to tell the truth by means of their frameworks. So I don't know from capitalism, I don't know from socialism, I don't know from communism or democracy or authoritarianism or right or left or what have you. These are all just like lawyers' tricks, word games, all these qualifiers that are supposed to impose definitions and meanings onto your mind that have no actual resemblance to reality. That's what they do. That's what these labels do. They're more like bandages. No, we look at the way things are, not according to the labels that the West uses to falsely categorize things. Because America is not democratic and China is not communist. So get out of here with that foolishness. You know, we look at how things operate in the real world, how they operate in real life, and we testify to that. We bear witness to what is really going on, regardless of who is doing it or what they're calling it. I mean, you can call that analysis if you want to, but it's actually nothing more than just bearing witness to reality. That's all we're doing. And again, that's why, all of this is why, at Middle Nation, we have developed and we are developing our own tools for discerning things, for discerning reality, like relative power dynamics, like strategic probabilities, like assessing the real impact of current events on the Muslim world, or like measuring and quantifying trends of instability in the West and so on, without relying solely on the metrics that are used by Western political scientists, or Western economists, or Western geopolitical analysts. Because we understand that some of the metrics that they use don't actually matter the way they say they do, and also that there are things that matter a great deal that they completely leave out in their analysis. They don't even include it in their metrics. Because, for example, we understand that whatever incurs the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's not sustainable. We know that you might, or a state might, or any other powerful actor might, implement or impose a policy that gives them dominance and it gives them success in the short term, but it's immoral and it's unjust. So we know that it has no long-term viability because that's the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the sunnah of Allah is a real factor that can never be excluded from your evaluations or from your analysis. I mean, part of our job is to understand, is to identify and understand and explain how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is operating in the world in the current age, how his sunnah is operating in the current age. No, you can't exclude Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from your analysis. That's the biggest, most important factor that most Westerners do not include in their assessments, do not include in their forecasts or their analysis. And that means even the best of them are always going to be superficial. They're literally leaving out the most important operative power in the world. You know, in their atheistic secular terms, it would be like analyzing global affairs without factoring in America, you know, acting like the United States doesn't exist, or acting like the United States has no influence over anything that happens on Earth. Well, as absurd as that would sound to them, it sounds even more absurd to us that they do not factor in the reality of God. And of course, we know that they will completely disapprove of this approach. Obviously, we know that. And they feel that they are entitled to have their disapproval matter to us. So you see, they remain completely stubborn as ever in their deeply ingrained sense of superiority, even though observably their approach to the world has left their societies in a state of chaos, a chaos of lies and delusion and moral anarchy and racism and sexism and gross inequality. They've literally left hundreds of millions of victims in the wake of their so-called superior enlightened civilization. And even though we could see ahead of time what's happening to them at Middle Nation, we could see ahead of time what's happening to them. And we can see where it's going, and we can see why it's going that way. But not only could they not see it coming, they can't even understand it right now while it's happening to them. They can't even understand what is happening to them now or why. So their disapproving of our approach only validates our approach. I don't think you can imagine a greater source, actually, of legitimization than the disapproval of thugs and criminals and savages and the insane. Because that's what they are. So their approval or their disapproval is the same to us. They're both equally irrelevant. It doesn't matter. Approve or disapprove. They will disapprove of our approach, despite the fact that prediction after prediction after prediction made on Middle Nation using our approach has been proven accurate. While they make their analyses, the way they make their analyses is just like the person that's described in the Quran, who's in the darkness and only takes a step when the lightning flashes. And there's just this brief moment of light, and then they take a step, and then they're in the dark again. I mean, that's the way that they make their analysis, moment to moment, without ever actually understanding the real, what you could call macro trajectories. They operate on a micro level, on a superficial level, They're like someone who could tell you, could look at a table. They could look at a table and see all the dishes that are spread out on the table, tell you all the foods. They can tell you what all of those foods are, but they can't tell you how they taste. They can't tell you if the foods are even real or not, to be honest. They can't tell if those foods are real or made of wax or made of plastic. But if we're just going to go with that analogy, then a Muslim analyst would not only be able to know which foods are real, they would know how they smell, they would know how they taste, and so on. They'd even know how many calories there are. Meaning, it's not a superficial analysis. It's not a surface level how things appear to be analysis. It's a how things are analysis. Because look, it's like Israel, for example. For some reason, because of their frameworks, that's the reason, their flawed and deceitful frameworks, they'll say, until now, that Israel is powerful. Israel is high tech. They have weapons. They're a democracy. They're this and they're that. All these ridiculous metrics. To them, it tells them that Israel is powerful. Because Israel can kill writ large, that means they're powerful. You see how deranged that is? A so-called country, a colonizer settler project, that is a chronic dependency, somehow, according to their metrics, is powerful. They're violent, and their violence equals power. That's the Western Enlightenment logic. If you're violent, you have the capacity for violence, then you're powerful. But the reality is that the only thing Israel even has left, in reality, is suicidal ideological inertia. Zionism acting as a terminal pathology. Israel will continue if you call a death spiral continuing. They're not acting out of strength. They're acting out of sheer panic. Panic about their impending irrelevance. Every step that they take into Gaza is a step that they're taking away from their own survival as a so-called Zionist Jewish state. No. Madness is not power. And power is not madness. But I totally understand why the West wouldn't know the difference. Look, Israel's power was always completely dependent on their strategic utility to America. But now America itself has a severely downgraded strategic utility to the owners and controllers of global financialized capital. That means that Israel is no longer even geopolitically coherent for the ruling powers of the world. And they've passed multiple signs telling them where the off-ramp is. Israel has. That's what the Abraham Accords was. That was a sign announcing that the off-ramp was coming up. That's what Saudi normalization with Iran was. Another sign announcing the off-ramp. The UAE, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia all joining BRICS. That was another sign of the off-ramp for Israel. That's what the ICJ case and the ICC case are. Just signs of the off-ramp for Israel. They're running on the fumes of radical, extremist, violent, doomsday Zionism now. They're flailing like a drowning man, while their economy falls apart in chunks. Their citizens are fleeing. Their society is in turmoil. They've lost the war of narrative. They're losing the war of alliances. They're losing the war of economy because they didn't want to take that off-ramp. You know, they didn't want to take the off ramp. They didn't want to face the fact that they have to get off that highway. Meanwhile, they're heading for a cliff. But they think that America is going to equip their vehicle with wings, but they won't. They're defying the A National OCGFC. They're defying the GCC. They're defying BRICS, all of whom own the future of the region. Those are going to be Israel's new landlords. And the only way that Israel is going to be allowed to remain is if they pay rent. But, you know, they've been squatters for so long with an American bodyguard, they just can't adapt to the new situation, and they don't think they have to. You know, Saudi Arabia, who they fooled themselves into believing was going to normalize with them, was going to normalize with Israel without insisting upon Palestinian statehood. That's what they fooled themselves about. Well, now Saudi Arabia has been actually consolidating support from traditional European allies of Israel to call for and to recognize a Palestinian state. And the Gulf has understood that all it takes is money to make that happen. And they have more money to spend than anyone else. Trump doesn't work for the Zionists. He works for the OCGFC, the A National OCGFC. And the OCGFC do not need Israel's historic function anymore. The plug has been pulled on your project. And the more barbaric and the more savage and the more out of control you act, the easier it's going to be for them to hang you out. I mean, you are literally right now weaving the rope yourselves and tying the knot yourselves for the noose that you're going to dangle from. But madman violence always used to work for you. So you think it'll work now. You see how limited they are? They can't pivot. They can't adapt. They can only comprehend the now obsolete narrow context in which their savagery used to be enough to justify their existence. But you were never a real state. You were never a real country. You were always just a policy instrument for the United States. You only know how to do demolition, but the new job qualifications are knowing how to build, and you don't know how to do that. You never had to learn how to do that. So if you don't truly understand the world, if you cannot interpret reality properly, then you might mistake Israel's madness as power. But all anyone with any sense can see is abject weakness. You control no inputs. You're not self-sufficient to any degree. You're not adaptable, you know. You've been in the deep end of an empty swimming pool thinking that you're an Olympic swimmer. But in reality, you can't even tread water. And it's filling up. That pool is filling up and you're going under. Look, and this goes back to psychological decolonization and epistemological sovereignty. For Israel, you're in a region amidst a people whose stopwatch ticks in centuries, not weeks, not months, not years, not even decades. You understand? We are a permanent ummah. You can't fire missiles. You can't launch drones to try to stop the trajectory of the momentum of time. You can't shoot the future down. You're trying to melt a glacier with a cigarette lighter. No, the truth of the matter is, we are not the resistance. We are the irresistible force of epochal justice. Epochal justice that is moving by the mechanisms of divine justice. You're the ones who are resisting. You're resisting the unstoppable, and it's blatantly futile. You see, Zionism isn't just morally bankrupt. Now it's strategically bankrupt. And this is where we know better. This is where we know better than other analysts. Because we know that strategic bankruptcy of the morally bankrupt is always just a matter of time. You can't murder your way into permanence. You forgot that everything that you always depended upon, everything that you always depended upon for your survival, you forgot that it's all controlled by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah's justice cannot be rushed and it cannot be postponed. And it can never be successfully resisted. Wallahi, it's a splendor to behold. You relied on America and the military-industrial complex. Israel did. And you thought that America and the military-industrial complex would protect you from Allah. And now that same heartless greed that fueled the system that enabled you to survive, that same heartless greed grew and grew and grew until it dwarfed the military-industrial complex in the form of the OCGFC. And not only did they swallow the military-industrial complex, but they swallowed up America itself. And now that same greedy system sees no value in you anymore. Well, you helped to birth the very powers that are now consigning you to the liability column on their spreadsheet. And now the very people, the very nations, the very people that you maligned, that you hated, that you said posed an existential threat to you, the Arabs, the Muslims, and that alleged threat was used to fuel the military-industrial complex that eventually gave rise to the OCGFC. Now those very people, those very nations, the Arabs, the Muslims, those very people are the ones with whom the OCGFC want to have as partners instead of you. And you're now just going to be part of a merger and acquisition deal between those two. And I'll tell you why. Because immorality and injustice and brutality are always only short-term strategies. You're like a geopolitical day trader, but we're long-term investors. So if you have a proper Islamic understanding when you look at the world, then you would know that Israel, from the beginning, was only ever going to be a blip in our history. All of Western so-called civilization, all of Western so-called civilization's dominance is a historical anomaly. No one with any sense ever thought otherwise. And here you can take sense as a synonym for Iman. Because if you have Iman, then you should have sense. And if you have sense, then you should have Iman. And no one with any Iman and no one with any sense.
America is falling behind. When an authoritarian regime attacks academia, science, news reporters, free speech, students, the best and the brightest leave. The same thing happened in Germany, in Russia, in Greece, and it's happening here. And this hurts the country because all of the talent is going elsewhere to help another country.
I love how this country and also the world is completely falling apart right now, and we're still just going about our business like nothing is wrong. The stock market is in a complete free fall, which is sending shockwaves around the world where other countries' markets are failing. We've lost over $3 trillion in the stock market in a matter of days. Meanwhile, the federal government has the audacity to give me a credit score. We have U.S. warships in the Middle East getting ready for what seems to be an inevitable attack from Iran against Israel going down any minute now. A new jobs report showed that we're at 4.3% unemployment. People are applying to thousands of jobs and nobody is hearing back. And the jobs that do respond only want to give you $14 an hour and require a master's degree with 5 years of experience. Our current president is an old man with dementia who doesn't know if the smell is coming from his own pants or Pelosi's vodka breath. And our only two choices for president for the upcoming election are between a 78-year-old old dude with more legal issues that one can count and a cackling buffoon who is apparently unburdened by what has been. Our political divisions are so wide in this country that no one can get along. Nobody can afford basic necessities like groceries, gas, or even the places they live in. We are one nut hair away from World War III breaking out, and yet the only thing we seem to care about is pointless TikTok drama like Mr. Beast being canceled or influencer birthday parties. It kind of makes you wonder, when exactly is this lid just gonna pop off? Because if I'm being completely honest here, it's kind of hard to remain optimistic of a bright future when it doesn't really feel like the future is even something that we're going to get to experience. All these articles keep coming out saying things like birth rates keep falling at unprecedented levels in the United States. It's like, well, no shit. Nobody wants to have babies anymore because we can't afford to take care of ourselves these days, let alone another little human being that you have to raise and feed and clothe. Not to mention the way the world is going and the indoctrination going on in our ridiculous public education school system doesn't really seem like a great selling point for us younger adults to be like, hey guys, life's good. Pull off those rubbers and start launching that baby batter out there. The sad truth is that millennials and Gen Z, we've become all too self-aware that this world is absolutely fucked. I mean, is there any hope or possibility that things are going to get better? Every day we turn on the news and it's another breaking, historically significant issue that we have to live through. So are we to believe that despite the unending list of absolute bullshit that is the world right now, that one day things are just going to be fine again? Like, think about it. Does anyone honestly believe that one day we are going to wake up and hear something like breaking news, rent is now affordable again, or breaking news, a new law has been signed to stop corporate greed, allowing for employees to make the proper amount of money at their jobs in order to be able to afford the cost of living, or breaking news, US politicians actually have to start working for the people to better their lives instead of making themselves richer? Those things almost sound mythological when you consider just how bad life has gotten. And what's worrisome worrisome is the fact that maybe, just maybe, we're inevitably heading to some sort of a hardcore factory reset, that society may be too far gone at this point, and the only thing that will fix it, or at least put us onto a better path, might be some type of cataclysmic conclusion. I certainly don't want that to happen, but it's not looking too good right now. And I think the most depressing thing about this whole situation is that the younger generations, millennials and Gen Z, we actually have the capacity to bring about positive, beneficial change that would allow for a world where everyone can afford to live in it. We would actually want to implement policies that avoid war, because our generations know that none of us want to actually go fight in some war. None of us want to go fight and die just because some suits in a government disagree with each other's ideologies. How childish and stupid is it that everything wrong with our country and our world is because these old geriatric fuckface boomers can't let go of their power and want to fuck everything up for us. The problem is that millennials and even Gen Z won't even have the opportunity to do anything positive because everything is on the brink of collapse. All we want to do is live in a world where every person of every creed and every background can live a good, happy life that they can afford and also be able to achieve their dreams. But no, these boomer politicians want us to live in a world where a kid who sweats his ass off in the summer pushing carts for a grocery store can't even afford to live anywhere, while the CEO of that same company lives off of their $100 billion net worth. It's absolutely fucked up. But what can we do? We keep talking about it, sure, but then they'll advocate to take this app away from us so that we can't talk about it. So who knows? I'd say to keep remaining positive, keep believing that one day we can make it right and that one day we can live good lives. But at this point, I just don't know anymore. It's a very hopeless way to look at life. At this point, all we can do is pray that these sick and twisted fucks don't blow up the world before they all eventually just die off and give us the opportunity to make things right. One could only hope.
People wonder why America's falling apart, why, the jobs are leaving, why the economy's collapsing here, the prices of groceries are going up and this and that. It's because America no longer produces anything. If America would produce things here in this country, then we would have, we would actually have a lot more jobs. But decades ago, I think in the 80s and 70s and 90s, America started to outsource a lot of work, a lot of production to China, India, and countries like that. But now those countries are actually rising up and competing against America. Okay? And America likes to sanction and bully other countries, but now countries like Africa, where America gets is produce from, is food, coffee, and all those stuff. Africa's rising up and giving the middle finger to America, saying, hey, you want coffee beans and all this shit? Screw you. Not going to happen. And now that's one of the reasons why grocery prices are going up over here. Because now we got to find another way to get those. And that's why Starbucks has been closing hundreds of locations. Think about it. Countries around the world, they are sick and tired of getting sanctioned by America, getting bullied by America. And that is why something like BRICS was created, is to dodge American sanctions so that they won't be bullied by America. Okay, so now countries are rising up against American power and creating their own independence. And this is better. This is better because now countries can be efficient by themselves and they don't need to rely so much on America. So America's dominance is over. America's dominance is over. Now the question is, what's going to happen here, the home country? There's going to be absolute chaos. There's going to be mass unemployment. And I don't think those factories are coming back. I really don't think they are. There's going to be a lot of people are just unemployed, and people are going to be forced to be entrepreneurs, to just come up with ideas to make money. I don't know, plant vegetables in your backyard or something. Come up with something creative, but it is not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same. America is a falling empire, and honestly, I kind of like that other countries are growing, because this cannot be it. Also, a lot of people have realized how America is a lie. America's a lie, and in the last 20 years, since there's been like huge tourism to other countries, people have realized, hey, America's not the best country. It really isn't. But hey, whatever your thoughts are, make sure to comment, like this video, hit the heart button, hit the plus button, guys. And I'll see you guys in the next video. It's your boy Andy Matrix. Godspeed.
So guys, I hope you have watched that video from Shahid Bolsen and you have seen what Shahid Bolsen he has come out and say about the falling of America. He's telling us that white America is falling, and also he's telling the white people that they did a very big mistake for voting for DJT. And I remember the black people, they try to warn these MAGA people, they try to warn white America, they try to warn the Republicans, don't vote for DJT, because the DJT policy and what DJT is coming to do, it is not a good thing. Black people, they saw what DJT is coming to do in America, and the black people, they tried to warn these white people, but they didn't listen. So these white people, they went ahead and voted for DJT. And right now we are seeing a lot of things, it is changing in America. We are seeing right now the tourists, they are not visiting America, they are avoiding to go in America. You can go and see some places whereby the Americans, they were having more tourists, more visitors coming in their country, go to these tourist places. Right now, when you go to these tourist places, you will see there is a low numbers of tourists going in those places. So this is to tell you that people, they are really avoiding America, and it is all because of how America, it is treating immigrant people. Right now we have been seeing how the ICE, they are deporting migrant people, how they are detaining immigrant people, how they are abducting immigrant people and deporting them without nothing in their country. So because of all this which it is happening in America, people, they are right now avoiding America. And also American citizens also, they are really crying because of the high cost of living. I've seen majority of video of Americans coming out crying they cannot even afford basic necessity. They cannot even afford to pay right now their house rent, their mortgage. So things have really become harder, difficult in America, to a point whereby Shahid Bolsen is coming out and telling these people how they made a mistake. And also Shahid Bolsen is telling them that you are the ones who brought America down, and Donald Trump is bringing America down, and nobody can save America. So kindly guys, I want to read some of the comment here and see what my people, they have come out and say towards this towards how Shahid Bolsen, he has come out and say about America. So this one saying that absolutely, this one saying that you are right about that. Yeah, this one saying that Shahid Bolsen, you are right about that. So this one saying that we cannot afford to lose the world of wisdom from this brave man. So this one is saying that this man is truth, integrity, and intelligence. This one saying that yes, their disapproval is a validation and confirmation. This one saying that family, do not apologize for your greatness. In time they will reap what they sow. Exactly. So these people, they will reap what they sow. You know, for so many years, these white people, they have been voting in America just to punish black people. They have been voting for racism. They have been voting against their own interests. So right now, God came through and God is using DJT to punish these white people. So this one is saying that make America great again. This one saying that the time is now. Africa, we are not going to accept to be used in a wrong way. We must arise beyond this suffering. Exactly. So right now it is the time that Africans and black people to rise up. So we cannot allow to be used like how these people that have been using us, together with how they've been using our country. So right now we need to rise up and we need to become strong and we need to unite. So this one saying that tell the truth, Mr. Bolsen, love listening to this man, truth teller. Exactly. Shahid Bolsen, he's a truth teller. And also guys, you can go and follow Shahid Bolsen in his on his YouTube channel. This one saying that these brothers speak to truth and people of color need to listen. Exactly, the people of the color need to listen what Shahid Bolsen, he has come out and talk about. This was saying that thank you for bringing this amazing brother to the forefront. I miss this dialogue that I grew up on. This one saying that yes, African must unite. This one saying that absolutely stop and stop. I appreciate you explaining the sound of truth. This one saying that wow, I love his way with words. I love the way he speak truth to power. This one is saying that yes, Africa should unite. Now is the time we must come together and depend on each other to build up Mother Africa and the black people around the world must come together and see each other no matter where we are at. Yes, we must unite now. Exactly. We are now calling unity amongst the people of the color. The people of the color, we all need to unite. The reasons to why these people that have been defeating us, it is because we are not united, and that is one of the biggest problem that black people we are having. So this time round, let us unite, because God has started to judge this country called America. America, it is falling down. America, it is collapsing. So we need to unite, to come together and start building our country. So this was saying that I agree with the diaspora, have a lot to learn. Thank you for making this powerful truth. This one is saying that I am so truly impressed by this man. Clarity of perception, liked and subscribe. This one saying that amen, Africa should unite and control their own resources. Africa Americans stand with you and we are very proud of you. This one saying that we in America have many skill. Unfortunately, all are not able to relocate. That need to be a discussion. This one is saying that I was born and raised in America. My ancestor arrived here in 1852 and we enslaved. I was raised here. I am almost 50 during my upbringing. Everything in America media said that Africa was extremely poor and disgusting, and that we people of Africa descent in America should separate ourselves as far away from Africa as possible. They played video of starving miniaturation as small children with flies flying all around the child mouth. Seriously, these videos were played every day during a commercial on TV for decades. Looking back at it, it was so horrible, wicked, and shameful. What he said in this video made me think about what I have written. Exactly. So this country, it has been calling our African country bad names, and also it has been showing bad image of Africa. Right now, Africa, it is more developed, but these people, they cannot show the good side of Africa. What they always show, it is the bad side of Africa. That's to make our brothers and sisters who they are in diaspora not to come back home, not to see home as very beautiful country as where they came from. So they are playing bad image so that our brothers and sisters who are in diaspora can hate Africa. So this was saying that the West is done. Exactly. Right now, the Western countries, they are done. We have been seeing how France right now, they are struggling. We are seeing right now how America, it is struggling, the Europe. So the Western countries right now, it is falling down. It is not only America, all the Western countries, they are in big trouble. They are under judgment. So this one is saying that Trump can't save it. He accelerating it. Exactly. Trump cannot save America. He is adding more fuel. He is accelerating. The people who always drive car, they know where the clutch of accelerating it is. So instead of Trump putting the legs on the brake, instead of that, Trump is accelerating, is adding more fuel just to see America falling down. So this was saying that ideology of faith bring unity. Yeah, this one thing that absolutely God bless us with a brain. This man is very knowledgeable. Love his analogy. It's not just a poisonous tree, it is the whole forest powerful. So this one saying that agree must start from now. This one saying that this one saying that thank you dash, I enjoy your content, hopefully you will share some pathway to the motherland for the diaspora. Exactly. So I will share this video, and that's why I want this video to go viral. It is for you guys to who are watching me. Kindly you can like this video. When you like this video, according to the YouTube algorithm, it will recommend this video to a lot of people, and they will know and they will share. They will see what the message that Shahid Bolsen is coming out and deliver towards black people. So kindly guys, subscribe if you haven't liked this video. You can share your thoughts on the comment section. I'll be reading it in my next video. Thanks so much. Adios.